YouTubers, Hoshi here. I'm going to show you exactly how I cut my lightning wig, and hopefully this helps some of you guys out. Taking your wig, you're going to want to separate it into 3 sections. Make sure that you have the wig properly tucked behind your ear, because Lightning is one of those few characters where you can see her ear through her hair. You're going to make sure that the side that her hair parts onto is going to be thicker than the other side. Putting the rest back in a ponytail, just so it doesn't get in your way, is so much easier than trying to fight the rest of it. Then, taking a bobby pin, you're going to want to pin back your bangs, because you want to be able to see what you're doing. It's a little bit hard if you can't. Now, we're just going to get in the basic length using a pair of thinning shears, because those actually give you a little bit more natural of an edge than doing just a blunt cut with a regular pair of scissors. Otherwise, you get this really horrible jagged line that's really hard to get rid of. So I'm just cutting the basic length here, and then doing the other side. And if you notice, on that side she has a piece that actually hangs down and is longer than the others but still hangs in front of your ear. So for now, just tuck that piece back. Then taking the rest of it, you're going to mark how long you want it. And don't be afraid to not take off enough, because it's much easier to take off more than it is to add on. Alright, so we have our basic length. Then we're going to start, we're going to have to flat iron it, because unfortunately her hair is very straight in the front. Small sections is much easier when working with a wig than doing large sections. Sorry you guys, I didn't even realize how serious-faced I was when I was actually filming this video. I only realized it once I went through edit it and do the voiceover, and it looks like I'm kind of angry while cutting the wig, but actually I'm not. I'm just really focused, and to be honest, I did have quite a bit of fun making Lightning. I had a little bit of trouble here. This wig had a natural crink in it that was really hard to get rid of. So we're going to start on thinning down one side. And she's got a couple of short pieces that hang down over, so just kind of take your thinning shears and go over it really gently. You want a nice soft feathered edge to that. The main key to doing Lightning's hair is definitely layers and layers. Instead of actually doing cuts, I'm sitting here and going through with the thinning shears, and I'm thinning it down, giving it lots of layers, while sculpting the basic shape that I need. And don't be afraid if it takes you a really long time to do a wig. Better to have it right than have to go and buy another one. Alright, again with the thinning shears, I do not want to take off more than I can handle, so I'm gently lightening it up and getting it just about the right length I need. It may seem like it takes a really long time, but the overall effect at the end is definitely worth it. If you look real closely at some reference pictures for Lightning, she actually does have a bit of hair that does hang in her eye. So you got to be real careful that you don't cut up too high, but you also have to make sure you don't have hair poking in your eye, especially if you're going to wear contacts for her. And this is the longest piece that hangs down on Lightning's side and pin it up. She's got a whole bunch of different layers in here. It's easier for some people if you work at layer by layer, starting with the longest. Again, I'm sorry, this wig had a natural kink in it that I had to keep going over and over to try and get it out of. Again, take it slow. This is another really important piece, that if you get it too short, it can come back and really haunt you later. So nice and slow, thin it down real easy. Next, you're going to work on the top layers on her bangs, because if you look, she has a slow progression of layers, starting from around her chin, going all the way up to her, almost her scalp. And you can keep going until you're happy with the result. I worked on this wig for, I think, about 4 hours, so it took me quite a while, but only because I wanted this wig to look exactly like Lightning's, or at least as close as my limited skill set would allow me to get without going to some kind of professional. Always make sure you take a couple moments to comb out your wig every once in a while, otherwise you're going to end up with this hot, tangled mess. And if you're cutting the wig this way, be very careful of cutting yourself. I had quite a few cuts all over my hands, because unfortunately I used to working on a mannequin when I'm cutting my wigs and not on myself. However, I wanted this one to fit my face a lot more than it would if I had done it on a mannequin. So I'm wearing it and cutting it at the same time. Watch yourself. Flat irons are very hot. Remember, take it nice and slow. If you ever get frustrated with cutting or layering a wig, take a couple moments, step back from it, look at a bunch of reference pictures, or even go and do something else, because if you find yourself getting frustrated with it, you're going to try and speed, and that just ends up being a horrible mess at the end. Nice and slow. And this is actually really sped up from what I was doing. I was cutting it very slow. There are actually a couple points where during filming I actually had to stop and actually go and turn on my Xbox to go and play the game for a little bit, simply because I needed some kind of real grasp on what her hair would look like at a couple different angles, and so that was fun, sitting there wearing Lightning, playing Lightning. If you find that you have cut some of it too thin, what you can do is pull some forward a little bit from your ponytail and cut that into your bang piece, or your side piece. I'm not sure exactly what you call that. Again, I'm not really a hairstylist. I only do what I know. And then Hollow comes over and she's flashing signs and putting that up there. It's actually her flat iron, and I I asked her for advice on how to flat iron because I unfortunately don't. My hair is far too short for this. But she was giving me all kinds of tips, and I had this one point, I think I'll probably keep it at the end of the video, where she's talking to me on how to do it, and it turns out curly instead of straight. Go ahead and undo your ponytail. This helps a little bit to throw in some basic styling bits on it, just so you can see how it's coming along. If you need to cut off more of it, or to restyle it slightly. And you can do a lot more with less hairspray. The less hairspray you use, the softer the hair looks. And, you know, to any one of you guys who have actually played the game or seen a whole lot of pictures of Lightning, you know she has a very feathered, very soft hair. So, trying to keep that as real as possible, I use very little hairspray, just wetting my fingertips enough that I can do the little bitty spikes at the end of it. Throwing a little bit so I have some definition in the rest of it. Now some of you might want to just go ahead and finish cutting the entire wig before styling parts of it, but I find that it helps me keep track of what I'm supposed to be doing at certain times if I can finish a piece and then move on from there. Almost do it in kind of sections. Alright, now we're going to go back to the other side and do the same thing on this side. And then again, pulling that one piece forward again that we had tucked back. And another piece, because if you look on her picture, she has a tiny piece that hangs down. You want to thin it down quite a bit. Her hair's not really like curly, it's more of a almost a crimped look to it. Unfortunately, for this piece right here, I had a little bit of trouble, and I actually didn't get it fixed until after I had finished filming, and I was so miffed that I didn't get it on film. Then, lightening up the other side, giving it some layers so it blends in just enough with what you have already cut for that side. And then pulling it all over. Now this next part I found kind of difficult because the wig was so long and thick. I had to keep actually pausing to go through and cut it and then comb it. And if you look at pictures of Lightning, she actually has it cut almost at an angle along the back of her neck, so her hair's not completely long all the way. A good way to achieve this is to start off on one side and cut and layer, thinning it up as you go, and then pull it over to one side and cut and layer, so that you have a nice angle to it. And here I realized that I could actually add more hair in to what I already had because I had pulled more than I thought back. So again, even once you think you finished a part, if you see room for improvement, don't be afraid to redo another piece. It can lead to bigger and better wigs and more ways you can use your skills. Remember, little bits off at a time. Too much and you're going to panic at the end. Just slight definition there so that she's got some spikes. Here's what I was talking about. Flipping it over, cutting it and thinning it so it swoops over towards the angle I need. And this wig is very thick. I had to do it in small sections at first. And eventually I actually had to take it off and start working on it, because unfortunately I can't take my own head off and start working on it. So I threw it on a camera stand and on a wig head. And what I'm doing through here is I'm lightening up small sections of it, giving her a couple different layers over the back of it. Combing it, always have to comb it. Giving her a nice edge. And the only reason I have a hat on is because I have horrible wig hair. I mean, it was atrocious. Yeah, if you're worried about getting hair all over the floor, put down a plastic mat or something else to cover it that you can just kind of scoop up and toss out that you don't really care about. Because even though you can't see it, I'm standing in like almost a pound of hair. It's really gross. And the different layers help lighten it up so that your end result isn't quite as heavy. I tend to have a problem with heavy wigs. And this part you don't have to be quite so careful on. You don't have to get your layers all perfectly even or anything else like that, simply because it does get pulled over to one side and it cascades over her shoulders, so you don't really have to pay too much attention to how even they are. You just want to make sure that you get the overall effect of it. And again, it just has to be something that you're happy with. That is rule 1 of cosplay. Who cares what everybody else thinks, as long as you're happy with it. And if you notice something while you're working, don't be afraid to go back and flat iron it or straighten it out or anything else like that. If you notice, I usually tend to jump around quite a bit on my wigs. Although I try not to when I'm showing you guys. Oh, and there's Hollow, jumping in. She actually borrowed the flat iron. She also gave me a couple pointers, pointed out that maybe my wig wasn't as heat resistant as I had first thought. Having to choose the length I actually want for her wig, because if you look at it, her wig doesn't come that far down in length. So I'm cutting it, and Hollow has to help me because fortunately I don't have 3 or 4 hands. So we're lightening it up a little bit more, taking it slow, and I'm not actually using scissors on it. Again, I'm using the thinning shears simply because that gives a nice soft edge to everything, and it's not a super blunt cut. Gives it a very pretty end result. Plus, it takes up less work. You don't have to go through and do everything as often. And lightening up again. If you do have to use regular scissors, remember to cut up or at a very high angle so you don't end up with any blunt lines, which look very horrible on a wig. She's helping me rework it and figure everything out. And we're almost finished here. Cutting the last little bits. And then, ta-da, we're done. And I send you off into the world to create great cosplay. Oh, and then we got bloopers following us. Oh my goodness. Oh, my cuts. I got so many cuts. It's really hard to cut above your head. I mean, have you tried that? That is really bad. I mean, I can't even French braid my hair, which is I think probably why I keep it as short as I do so I don't have to deal with so much. I think about 15% of the entire video is me sitting there texting in different stages of the wig. So, yeah. Oh, here's the curling part. And I had to go back and keep working over that because the curl stayed. Well, it's curly.
Is that what you wanted?
No, I need it straight.
Oh, just keep on going flat then.
And Hollow did want to come on, but her hair looked really bad. And I told her to grab a hat, but she was like, "No, I can't."
Good, it looks really good.
Not done yet, not done yet. And that's about it.
I'm gonna hop in the shower, and then get ready. Okay? Okay. With me again. That's badass. That's really bad.
It's not done yet.